Loveless by Alice Oseman, Part 2, A New Friendship. "Oh wow," said Jason later that day as he and Pip stepped into my and Rooney's room. "It's the size of my garden." Pip stretched out her arms and did a twirl on the spot, emphasizing the unnecessary amount of empty space in the room. "I didn't realize you joined the College of the Bourgeoisie. I don't understand why they couldn't just build a wall in the middle," I said, pointing at the gap between mine and Rooney's side of the room, which was currently only occupied by Rooney's aqua rug. "How very Trump of you," said Jason. "Oh my God, shut up!" Rooney had left a while ago with a group of people she'd befriended on our corridor. They'd invited me, but honestly, I needed some downtime. I'd been trying my best to say hi to new people for most of the day, and I really, really wanted to see some familiar faces. So I'd invited Jason and Pip to come hang in my room for a bit before this evening's freshers events at our separate schools, and thankfully they'd both finished unpacking and didn't have anything else to do. I'd already told them a little bit about Rooney, that she liked theater and was generally quite nice, but her side of the room was a much better summary of her personality. Jason surveyed it, then looked over my side. "Why does her side look like an Instagram influencer's bedroom and yours looks like a prison cell? You brought so many bags with you." "It's not that bad, and a lot of the bags have books in them." "Georgia, my dude," said Pip, who had slumped onto my bed. "Her side looks like Disneyland, and yours looks like a stock photo." "I didn't bring any posters," I said, "or fairy lights." Georgia, how the hell did you forget fairy lights? They're an essential element of university room decor." "I don't know." "You'll be sad without fairy lights. Everyone's sad without fairy lights. I think Rooney's got more than enough for both of us. She's already letting me share a rug." Pip looked down at the aqua rug and nodded approvingly. "Yes, it's a good rug. It's just a rug. It's a shaggy one. That's sexy." Pip suddenly leapt out of the bed, staring at Rooney's fern in the corner of the room. "Hang on, wait, one fucking second. That plant." Jason and I turned to look at Roderick. "Oh," I said, "yeah, that's Roderick." And it was at that moment that Rooney Bach returned to our room. She swung the door wide open, kicked her Norton anthology in front of it to act as a doorstop, and turned to face us with a Starbucks in her hand. "Guests," she said, beaming at the three of us. Yeah," I said. "These are my friends from home, Pip and Jason." I pointed at each of them. "This is my roommate, Rooney." I pointed at Rooney. Rooney's eyes widened. "Oh my God, this is them!" "It's us," said Pip, one eyebrow already raised. "And we've met already." Rooney gave Pip a once-over, her eyes flickering briefly up and down from her tortoiseshell glasses down her strippy socks visible beneath her rolled-up jeans, before striding towards her and holding out her hand with such force that Pip looked for the briefest second afraid. She shook the hand. She gave Rooney a once-over in return from her Adidas Originals all the way up to the hairband, just visible at the top of her ponytail. "Yes, I see Roderick has settled in." Rooney's eyebrows quivered, but she was surprised and pleased that Pip's immediate response was banter. "He has. He's been enjoying the northern air." She turned to Jason and held out her hand again, which he took. "We haven't met, but I like your jacket." Jason looked down at himself. He was wearing the fluffy brown teddy jacket he'd owned for years. I truly believed it was the most comfortable item of clothing to exist on this planet. "All right, yeah, thanks." Rooney smiled and clapped her hands together. "It's so nice to meet you both. We're going to have to become friends now that me and Georgie are friends." Pip gave me a look as if to say, "Friends? Already?" "As long as you don't steal her away from us," Jason joked, though Pip whipped her head round to him, seemingly taking this statement very seriously indeed. Rooney noticed this happen. A small curl of smile appeared at the side of her mouth. "Of course not," she said. "I heard you're interested in theater," Pip said. There was a nervous tone to her voice. "Yes. Are you?" "Yeah. We all went to the same youth theater group, and we did school plays together." Rooney seemed genuinely excited by this prospect. Her love for theater was definitely not fake, even if some of her smiles were. So you'll be auditioning for a DST play? Obviously. A lead role? Obviously. Rooney grinned, and after taking a sip from her Starbucks cup, she said, "Good. We'll be competing then." I guess we will," said Pip, flustered, surprised, and confused all at the same time. Rooney suddenly made a concerned face and checked her phone. "Oh, sorry. I have to head out again. Got to meet this girl I've been chatting to on the English SOC Facebook group down at Venel's. I'll meet you here at 6 for the freshers barbecue." And then she was gone while I was wondering what Venel's was and why I didn't know what Venel's was, and how Rooney already knew what Venel's was when she'd been here for less than a day, just like me. When I turned back to my friends, Pip was standing very still with a startled expression on her face that made her look a little like a cartoon scientist post-explosion. "What?" I asked. Pip swallowed and shook her head a little. "Nothing." "What?" "Nothing. She seems nice." I knew that look. It was a Pip look I knew well. I'd seen it when she had to be gymnastics partners with Alicia Reese, one of her most intense crushes in year 11 BE. I'd seen it when we went to a little mixed meet and greeted, and Pip got to hug Lay and Pinnock. Pip didn't fancy a lot of girls. She was quite picky, actually. But when Pip did fancy someone, it was very, very obvious. To me, anyway. I could always tell when people had crushes on each other. Before I could make a comment, Jason interrupted. He was peering at the photo of Rooney with her mermaid hair Beth. "It's so odd that you ended up with a roommate. What did you write on your personality quiz?" We'd had to fill in personality quizzes after we got accepted into Durham, so that if we ended up having to share rooms, they'd try to match us with someone that we'd get along with. I strained to remember what I'd written on mine, and then it clicked. "Shakespeare," I said. "The quiz, one of the questions was about your interests. So I wrote Shakespeare." "So?" said Jason. I pointed at Rooney's Much Ado About Nothing poster. "Oh my God," said Pip, her eyes whitening. "Is she also a Shakespeare stan, like us?" "So she says." Jason nodded, seemingly pleased. "That's good. You can bond over that." "Yes," said Pip, much too quickly. "Befriend her. I mean, we're roommates, so hopefully we will be friends." "That's good," Jason repeated, "especially since we won't get to hang out all the time anymore." This made me pause. "Won't we?" "Well, no. I mean, at least this week. We're at different colleges." I genuinely hadn't thought about that. I'd had this idea that we'd meet up every day, hang out, explore Durham, begin our university journeys together. But all our freshers' events were at our own colleges, and we were all on different courses. I was doing English, Jason was doing history, and Pip was studying natural sciences. So he was right. I probably wouldn't see much of Pip and Jason at all this week. "I guess," I said, "maybe this could be okay. Maybe this could be the kick I needed to branch out and find new people and have experiences. Maybe this could all be part of the plan, the romance plan." "Right," said Pip, slapping her thighs and bouncing up to her feet. "We should head. I still haven't finished unpacking all of my shirts." I let Pip bundle me into a hug before she trotted out of the room, leaving just me and Jason. I didn't want Jason and Pip to go. I hadn't wanted my parents to go. I didn't want to be left here alone. "I wish I was at Castle too," I said. I sounded like a 5-year-old. "You'll be okay," said Jason, in his usual calming tone. Nothing fazed Jason. He had whatever the opposite of anxiety was, absolute, unerring peace of mind. I swallowed. I really, really did want to cry. Maybe I could have a quick cry before Rooney got back. "Can I have a hug?" I asked. Jason paused. Something unreadable crossed his face. "Yeah," he said. "Yeah, come here." I crossed the room and let him envelop me into a warm hug. You'll be okay," he said again, rubbing his hands gently over my back, and I don't know if I believed him, but it felt nice to hear anyway. And Jason always gave the warmest, coziest hugs. "Okay," I mumbled into his jacket. When he stepped back, his eyes darted away. He might even have blushed a little. "I'll see you soon," he said, not looking at me. "Yeah," I said. "Message me." My friendships with Pip and Jason wouldn't change. We'd made it through 7 years of secondary school, for God's sake. Whether we hung out all the time or not, we would always be friends. Nothing could ruin what we had. And getting to focus on a new friendship with Rooney Bach, a fellow Shakespeare enthusiast who was significantly more sociable than me, could only be a good thing. Romantic thinking. At the St. John's College Freshers Barbecue, Rooney moved around the courtyard like an ambitious businesswoman at an important networking event. She befriended people in a quick, easy way that left me in awe and, to be honest, very jealous. I had no option but to trail her like a shadow. I didn't know how to mingle solo. University was where most people made friendships that actually lasted. My parents still met up with their uni friends every year. My brother's best man had been one of his uni friends. I knew I had Pip and Jason, so it wasn't like I was going in friendless in the first place, but I still figured that I might meet some more people that I got along with. And at the barbecue, people were on the hunt for friendships. Everyone was being extra loud, extra friendly, and asking way more questions than is normally socially acceptable. I tried my best, but I wasn't great at it. I'd forget people's names as soon as they said them. I didn't ask enough questions. All the posh private school boys in zip neck jumpers blended in with each other. I thought about trying to make progress with my finding love situation, but no particular romantic feelings arose for anyone I met, and I was too anxious to try and force myself to feel them. Rooney, on the other hand, flirted. At first, I thought I was just seeing things, but the more I watched, the more I could see her doing it. The way she touched guys on the arm and smiled up at them or smiled down because she was tall. The way she'd listen when they spoke and laugh at their jokes. The way she'd give the guy direct, piercing eye contact, the sort of eye contact that made you feel like she knew you. It was absolutely masterful. What I found interesting was that she did this to several guys. I wonder what her goal was. What was she looking for? A potential boyfriend? Hookup options? Or was she just doing it for fun? Either way, I thought about it a lot when I was trying to fall asleep later that night in a new room in a new bed, and the person already asleep a few meters away from me. Rooney seemed to know exactly what to do. I'd watched her master the setup, the romance pregame, and expertise with the precise expertise of someone who'd had lots of practice and a lot of success. Could I do that? Could I copy her? Would she teach me how to do it? It seemed to take Rooney a monumental amount of effort to wake up on Monday morning. I thought I was bad at waking up in the mornings, but Rooney had to hit snooze at least 5 times before she managed to drag herself out of bed. All of the alarms were "Spice Up Your Life" by the Spice Girls. I woke up at the first one. "I didn't know you wore glasses," was the first thing she said to me when she'd finally arisen. "I wear contacts most of the time," I explained, and it reminded me of how surprised Pip had been, aged 11, to find out that I was short-sighted after 6 whole months of being friends. I started wearing contact lenses the summer before secondary school. When I awkwardly asked her if she wanted to head down to the cafeteria for breakfast, she looked almost like I'd suggested throwing ourselves out of the window before replacing the expression with a broad smile and saying, "Yeah, that sounds good." And then she changed into sportswear and became the bubbly, extroverted Rooney I'd met the day before. I stuck close to Rooney throughout our first official day of the Freshers' Week, through our introductory English lecture to our afternoon off. In the lecture, she effortlessly befriended the person sitting next to her, and in the afternoon we went out for coffee with a few people who also did English. She made friends with all of them too, and broke away to talk to this one guy who was obviously attractive in a conventional sort of way. She flirted, touching his sleeve, laughing, looking into his eyes. It looked so easy, but even imagining myself doing it made me feel a bit nauseated. I hope this doesn't sound like I thought badly of Rooney for flirting and making connections and setting herself up for, without a doubt, some sort of grand university romance that she'd be able to tell her grandchildren about when she was an elderly oversharer. I was just very, very jealous that I wasn't her. The main event of the Tuesday of Freshers' Week was college matriculation, a bizarre pseudo-religious ceremony that took place in Durham Cathedral, at which we were welcomed into the university. We all had to wear posh outfits and our college gowns, which made me feel very sophisticated. I stuck with Rooney until, on the way out of the cathedral, I spotted Pip and Jason, walking together across the grass, with no doubt heading to their own matriculation ceremony. They saw me, and we ran to each other through the graveyard in what felt like slow-mo with the Chariots of Fire music playing in the background. Pip leapt on me, almost drowning me in her college gown. She was dressed as fancy as she'd been at prom, full suit and tie, a halo of carefully styled curls, and she was wearing a cologne that smelled like a forest after the rain. She felt like home. "I'm going to write St. John's a letter of complaint," she said, into my shoulder, "to tell them to let you transfer to Castle. I don't think that will work." "It will. Do you remember when I complained to Tesco and they sent me 5 packets of Maltesers? I know how to pen a strongly worded letter." "Just ignore her," said Jason. Jason was also suited up. He looked fancy too. She still hung over from last night. Pip stepped back, adjusting her collar and tie. She did look a little less chipper than usual. "Are you okay?" she said. "Is your roommate being normal? Are you dying of stress?" I thought about these questions and replied, "No. No to all." Speaking of Rooney, I glanced over Pip's shoulder to see how far ahead Rooney had walked, only to find that Rooney had actually stopped at the edge of the graveyard and was looking back, right at us. Pip and Jason turned to look. "Uh-oh, she's there," Pip mumbled, and immediately started adjusting her hair. But Rooney was still looking at us, and she smiled and waved, seemingly directly at Pip. Pip awkwardly raised a hand and waved back with a nervous smile. I wondered suddenly whether Pip had a chance with Rooney. Rooney seemed pretty straight, judging by how many guys I had seen her flirt with, and that she hadn't tried flirting with any girls. But people could surprise you. "You getting along with her okay?" asked Jason. "She's really nice, yeah. She's better than me at, like, everything, which is annoying, but she's fine." Pip frowned. "Better than you at what?" "Oh, you know, like making friends and I don't know, talking to people, flirting, romance, falling in love, probably." Neither Jason nor Pip seemed impressed by this answer. "Okay," said Pip. "We're coming round tonight." "You really don't have to." "No. I know a cry for help when I hear it." "I'm not crying for help. We need a pizza night, urgently." I saw through her immediately. "You just want to have an opportunity to talk to Rooney again, don't you?" Pip gave me a long look. "Maybe so," she said, "but I also care about you, and I care about pizza." "So she's just, like, insanely good at getting people to like her?" said Pip through a mouthful of pizza later that evening. "That's pretty much it, yeah," I said. Jason shook his head. "And you want to be like her? Why?" The 3 of us were sprawled on Rooney's aqua rug, pizza in the middle. We'd had a minor debate about whether to watch our favorite group, Mullen Rogue, or Jason's favorite, the live-action Scooby-Doo movie, but we eventually settled on Scooby-Doo and were playing it on my laptop. Rooney was out for the night at some sort of themed bar night, and had I not already made plans with my friends, I probably would have gone with her. But this was better. Everything was better when Jason and Pip were around. I couldn't admit to them how desperately I wanted to be in a romantic relationship, because I knew it was pathetic. Trust me, I completely understood that women should want to be strong and independent, and you don't need to find love to have a successful life. And the fact that I was so desperately wanted a boyfriend or a girlfriend, a partner, whoever, someone, was a sign that I was not strong or independent or self-sufficient or happy alone. I was really quite lonely, and I wanted to be loved. Was that such a bad thing? To want an intimate connection with another human? I don't know. I didn't know. "She just finds it so easy to talk to people," I said. "That's just what life is like when you're abnormally attractive, though," said Pip. Jason and I looked at her. "Abnormally attractive?" I said. Pip stopped chewing. "What? She is. I'm just stating facts. She's got that sort of, I could step on you and you would enjoy it energy." "Interesting." Jason raised an eyebrow. Pip started to go a little bit red. "I'm literally just making an observation." "Okay." "Don't look at me like that." "I'm not." "You are." Since the events of the prom, I'd given some solid thought as to whether I might actually be a lesbian, like Pip. It would make sense. Maybe my lack of interest in boys was because I was in fact interested in girls. That would be a fairly sensible solution to my situation. According to Pip, the hallmarks of realizing you were a lesbian were, firstly, getting a little intensely obsessed with a girl, mistaking it for admiration, and sometimes thinking about holding their hand, and secondly, having a subconscious fixation on certain female cartoon villains. Jokes aside, I'd never had a crush on a girl, so I didn't really have any evidence to support that particular theory. Maybe I was bi or pan, since I didn't even seem to have a preference at this point. The next couple of hours were spent talking, snacking, and occasionally glancing at my laptop screen to watch the movie. Pip rambled at length about how interesting her introductory chemistry lab class had been, while Jason and I both mourned how dull our first lectures had been. We all shared our thoughts about the people we'd met in college, how many posh private school kids there were, and how bad the drinking culture already seemed to be, and how there should really be more cereal options at breakfast. At one point, Pip decided to water Roderick, the houseplant, because in her words, he's looking a bit thirsty. But soon it was 11 o'clock and Pip decided it was time to make some hot chocolate, which she insisted on doing on the stove rather than using the kettle in my bedroom. We all headed out of the room towards the tiny kitchen on my corridor, which was shared between 8 people but had been empty the few times I'd been there thus far. Tonight it was not empty. I knew this from the moment Pip glanced through the window and made a face like she'd been given a mild electric shock. "Oh shit!" she hissed, and Jason and I joined her. We finally saw what was going on. Rooney was in the kitchen. She was with a guy. She was sitting on the kitchen counter. He was standing between her legs, his tongue in her mouth, and his hand up her skirt. To put it lightly, they were both very much enjoying themselves. "Oh," I said. Jason immediately stepped away from the situation like any normal person would, but Pip and I stood there for a moment watching this go down. It became clear to me that in that moment, the only way I was going to make any progress in my finding love mission was if I asked Rooney for help. I was not going to be able to do it on my own ever. I tried. I promise I tried. I tried to kiss Tommy when he went in for one, but the Kill Bill siren started going off in my mind and I just couldn't. I tried to talk to people at the freshers' barbecue, and when we were huddling outside the lecture halls, and at lunch and dinner when I sat with Rooney and all the people she had befriended. I tried, and I wasn't terrible at it. I was polite and nice, and people didn't seem to hate me. But I would never be like Rooney, not naturally anyway. I would never be able to kiss some guy just because it was fun, because it made me feel good, because I could do what I wanted. I would never be able to manufacture that spark that she seemed to have with almost everyone she met. Unless she told me how. Pip finally tore her eyes away from the window. "It's got to be unhygienic," she said, making a disgusted face. "That's where people make their tea, for God's sake." I murmured my agreement before moving away from the door, our hot chocolate plans abandoned. Pip had this look on her face like she'd seen this coming. "I'm so dumb," she muttered. I knew almost everything about romance. I knew the theory. I knew when people were flirting. I knew when they wanted to kiss. I knew when people's boyfriends were being shitty to them, even when they couldn't tell it themselves. I'd read infinite stories of people meeting and flirting and awkwardly pining, hating before liking, lusting before loving, kissing and sex and love and marriage and partners for life till death us do part. I was a master of the theory, but Rooney was a master of the practice. Maybe fate had brought her to me, or maybe that was just romantic thinking.